Hi besties, what's up? My name is Makenzie and welcome to my channel and welcome to another day of Bookmas. So, as you guys have seen from the title, the thumbnail, what have you, we are going to be going over my very unrealistic reading goals of 2026. So, let me just backtrack to when this came an idea. So, essentially what happened was I was originally filming my reading goal reaction video to 2025, seeing if I completed those. And originally, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was like, okay, you know what? This is a good number of books. This is a good set of goals. I feel like it's very achievable. And so I said to myself, you know what? We're gonna probably keep it about the same. We might half it. We might, I don't know. We might do something. But then I said to myself, Makenzie, I think next year you should go crazy. So, I know this is gonna sound really stupid to a lot of you, but 26 is actually my husband's favorite number. We actually purposefully got married on the 26th of March. So I thought that it would be really fun to kind of go crazy this next year. I really want to push myself to my limits and see how much I can actually read. Now, with that being said, these are very unrealistic. I do not think in my wildest dreams I'm even gonna hit it. So please understand that. Also, reading is not a competition. It will never be on this channel, so please, if you watch my channel, know that, I'm only in competition with myself, and even then, I'm not really in competition with myself. I failed multiple reading challenges before. I've failed a lot of reading goals before, so please do not think that we are, in competition with each other. You know, we all have a different level of busyness, and for me, I am busy, yes, but I do have a little bit more time than your average person who has a full 40-hour work week, plus is editing videos, plus is doing whatever else. So again, please understand that this is just for fun for me. I really do not give a crap how many books people read throughout the year or whatever. It's, it's none of my business. It's none of my business. So with all that being said, let's get into the reading goals. First, let's start with my most outlandish, First, let's start with my most outlandish. Here we go. Said that like 5 times. I couldn't get it. My most outlandish reading goal that I've set in a long time. And my big reading goal for this coming year is to read 200 books. Now, this was my reading goal a few years ago, and I think I only hit 151 or 152. So, do I think with the right amount of planning and prepping, I can do that? I do think so. Now, I know that when you hear that number, you probably think that's crazy, and you know what, to be fair it is, but to get real with you guys, I have a really bad addiction to my phone. That is where I spend a lot of my time, unfortunately. I know that that's not ideal, but this coming year, and for the rest of this year, I'm gonna kind of try to slowly but surely wean myself from my phone. That sounds so pathetic, and I'm aware, but I do think that the majority of us that are on our phones watching this, right, are probably addicted to our phones in some capacity, and I'm so sick of seeing that I average 2 digits every single week. So that is the main reason I'm doing this. I know that maybe trading one thing for another thing, it may not be the best, to be honest with you guys, but I think I'd rather read and stuff and be a little bit happier, because I have noticed that when I prioritized reading over anything, anything worldly. I don't know how to explain this, because obviously my child comes first, but I have noticed that when I prioritize reading over spending time on my phone or whatever, doom scrolling, I am a lot happier. So I want to have a happier, better 2026. Obviously, who knows what's gonna happen in 2026? Knock on wood, hopefully nothing terrible, but like I said, that is the main reason I want to read so many books. So tagging right along, I have the same kind of goal as last year. I want to read every day, and I do think that this has to actually be achieved this year. I honestly, I need to read every day. If I'm gonna hit 200 books, I need to read every day. Whether it's 2 pages or 200 pages, I need to be doing that. So we're gonna do that. And then, this is gonna sound a little bit convoluted, but hear me out here. So, I want to read at least half of the books that I buy. That's the wrong goal. Okay, the next goal, the third goal that I have is read at least half of the books that I buy. Plus, I want to also read 2 books for every book that I buy. Now, I will say this is not going to count in January because it is my birthday. So, we'll get into it. I'll get into what I want to do in January in a second, but just in case, all the books that I get end of January, beginning of February for my birthday do not count. For this, I feel like that's fair, but I don't know, you guys can let me know. But I do think that it is important to get my physical TBR down to a more manageable number. Coming towards the end of 2025, I am feeling a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of books that I have on my physical TBR. Will that stop me from adding books to my wish list this year? No, it will not. But I do think that this is something I really need to prioritize, right? Next, this one is going to be a little bit convoluted, so I'm going to try to explain it the best I can. At least half of the books that I read in 2026 have to be on my physical TBR. Actually, that didn't sound as convoluted when I said it out loud. The way that I wrote it is kind of confusing, but much like I realized actually in my previous video that I filmed, I have read exactly like half and half books that were on my physical TBR and half books that were not. And whether or not I bought them afterwards is a different story, but I do think that it is very important for me, especially to be reading books off of my physical TBR. So if I read 200 books next year, which I hope I can, maybe I can, I don't know. But if I read 200 books next year, 100 of them have to be from my physical TBR. I feel like that is a good way to do things. I mean, I would like it to be a little bit higher, but I do think that like half and half is pretty realistic, especially where I have other goals pertaining to other things. So, next. We have attempt 2 30 and 30 challenges. So what that is a 30 and 30 is where you attempt to read 30 books in 30 days. I want to try 2 of them. I only tried to do 1 in the year 2025, and I do think that it was really fun. And regardless of me only reading 21 books during the challenge, I did have a lot of fun. I thought that it was very beneficial to me, so I would like to do that as well. I think that that really brought out the reader side of me, and I think I have a better idea of what I want to do in the next 30 and 30, which I do think is going to be in January. I'm going to try to do it. This is not a promise, and it's not, you know, it's not a promise, but I do think I want to try a 30 and 30 in January. I think that'd be great. So we will just see where we go from there. And then we're going to up my series goal from this year from 15 to 20. If I'm reading 200 books, there is no reason that I cannot finish 20 series. I know that that sounds a little crazy, but I do think that it is important that I prioritize finishing series I am in the middle of. It sounds like my baby is awake, so I will come back in a little while, maybe when she's asleep again, and we will finish out the video. Alright, as long as I can make this quick, my battery should last and I should have enough storage. So, I believe the last time we talked, I was telling you guys that I wanted to finish 20 series. Like I said, I think that is pretty reasonable, pretty doable. As long as I'm like prioritizing my physical TBR, I think it should be fine. Also, if you see the box, that is my child. We don't show her online. Anyway, let's continue. There is a goal that I forgot to put in here, but it's in my mind, so I'm gonna hurry and tell you. I need to read at least 1 aardvark book a month, at least average out to 1 aardvark book a month. That's kind of how like everything is gonna be. Like it really doesn't matter as long as I'm reading, I guess, 12 altogether. But I really have not been doing a good job at prioritizing my aardvark book club picks, and I love aardvark and I want to read the books that I buy from them. So I really need to just prioritize trying to read at least some of them. I think that an average of 1 a month or 12 altogether throughout the year is a great start, so we're also going to do that. Next, I have annotate at least 12 books. Now, if you watched my last video, you will know that I didn't even annotate 6 books, let alone 12 books. However, I am currently in the middle of buddy reading a lot of books with my friend Courtney, and we are actually going to probably end up finishing the majority of them in 2026. So I am annotating the good majority of them as well. So I'm going to have a bunch of annotated books I'm going to have a lot of books that I finish annotating next year. So I feel like that's a pretty reasonable thing. And you know what? I'm going to make a little bit more time to work on annotating books because I love to annotate books, and I just feel like I'm not really, I don't know, I just want to get back to like my like heyday as a reader, I guess, if you can call it that. Like I just want to get back to my roots as a reader. Alright, my next goal is to reread at least 12 books, so I mean, I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. I'd like to reread some of the books that I'm keeping on my shelves because I love them so much. I'm not going to be surprised if most of the books that I reread are ones that I annotate, but I mean, I don't really have a method to my annotation madness, if you will, so I guess we will just see about that. And I also have, I didn't put these on here, but I want to average at least 1 book on Kindle Unlimited and Kobo Plus every month. I don't care how I read them, I don't care when I read them, but again, 12. And I actually want to like read them on the device. I don't want to be like, oh well, this book is on Kobo Plus, so I'm gonna read it physically. Like, I don't want to do that. So I want to read at least 1 on each platform every month. Again, like I said, we'll just see how it goes. That's what I would like to do. And then my last and final goal is to finish my 2026 TBR. I'm very intrigued to see what happens with that, because I think Steven doesn't know this, my husband, but I think I'm gonna ask him to choose my 2026 TBR. So we'll see if he wants to do that, but I thought it would just be fun. Again, like I said, this is all for fun. I really don't care if I only read 50 books, if I read 500 books. I don't care how many books I read next year. I just want to have fun. You know, that's all I really want to do, is to have fun. So yeah, let me know some of your guys' reading goals down below, if you will. I would love to know, especially your Goodreads reading goal. I'm curious, is it more, is it less? Obviously mine is a lot more than my reading goal from 2025, but if you have made it this far, you should leave, I believe there is an emoji with like a piece of paper that's written on with a pen. If there is, you should leave that one, and then like your favorite smiley face. I think that'd be really fun to see. And with all that being said, if you like me, if you like seeing my face, hit the like button. If you want to see my face again, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified every time I post a new video, honestly, I'd follow me on Instagram. That's where you're going to get all the first updates. But if you don't have an Instagram, cross your fingers, hope the notification bell works. And with all that, I will see you cuties in the next one very, very soon. Bye, everyone.
When you're not here, the sun don't shine. When you're not near, I don't feel like I do. When